Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little bit different today.
A definite change of pace for us.
For sure. Usually we come to you with a stack of articles, maybe a white paper, some breaking news analysis.
Yeah.
We try to synthesize a lot of different data points.
Right. We're usually connecting the dots between like 10 different sources.
Exactly. But today our source material is singular. It is one piece of text, a poem actually. It's titled Echoes of the Self, and it explores the philosophy of Allama Iqbal, specifically his concept of Khudi.
And it is a dense philosophical text, but it's all wrapped in verse, which makes it, well, it makes it a unique challenge to unpack.
It really does. And because this is poetry, and poetry is meant to be heard, not just, analyzed on a spreadsheet, we are going to start right there.
I agree.
We aren't going to preamble this to death. We're just going to listen to the text in its entirety exactly as it was written. We need to hear the architecture of the idea before we can start taking it apart.
I think that is absolutely the only way to do it justice. Let's just listen.
In ancient shadows where the past held sway, Iqbal took quill to chart a brighter way. He sought a door beyond the common sight, to Khudi's deep core a boundless inner light. This self, no ego, but a sacred living flame, a vibrant essence echoing God's own name. Khudi, he cried, no timid fleeting sigh, but spirit's eagle cleaving through the sky, a call to rise beyond the darkest night, to forge the will with fearless soaring might, unleash the self from bonds of doubt and fear, let inner purpose crystal clear appear. With metaphors of mirror, sun, and star, he urged the soul to voyage near and far. Polish your glass, his verses softly say, reflect the brilliance of the sun's bright ray. Your essence holds the universe within. In you, the divine's own converse can begin. He challenged whispers of a self denied, no hermit's path where life's rich currents hide. The world's no prison to be cast aside, but life's grand trial where souls are truly tried. Through joy and sorrow, conflict, hope, and pride, the self is tempered, purified inside. Not static fate nor dogma's rigid frame, but force and power to create and claim. Break free from chains of unexamined lore. Unlock the texts and seek truth at the core. Embrace the bounties of this earthly span and live life's purpose as a guided man. So stand atop the mountain, conscience high, dome by hone, where earth embraces boundless open sky. Look deep within, let inner wisdom grow, Aaron. The cosmos mirrors in the seeds you sow. His legacy a beacon strong and bright, Peron. To guide our quest towards the ever-rising light.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting that sit in the room for a second. It lands so differently when you hear it read aloud versus just, skimming it on a page, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's a cadence to it.
There is. There's a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, or maybe a marching drum, something driving forward.
It certainly does. It's designed to stir something in you. You can feel it. It's not passive poetry. It's active. It feels almost architectural, like it's building a structure line by line.
That is exactly the feeling. It feels like a blueprint disguised as a poem.
Oh.
And that is why we're here today. We are not doing the news. We aren't looking at spreadsheets.
Nope.
We are doing something different. We're taking this singular piece of text, Echoes of the Self, and we're going to treat it like an archaeological dig.
A philosophical excavation, if you will.
And I love that. A philosophical excavation.
Yeah.
Because, on the surface, sure, it rhymes, it has pretty imagery, eagles, mirrors, mountains.
Yeah.
It's pleasant to the ear. But the mission today is to get past that, to get past the rhyme scheme. We want to find the framework underneath, this whole concept of Khudi.
Khudi, it is the absolute central pillar of the entire piece. Everything else just hangs on that one word.
Right. And to be honest, when I first see the word self with a capital S or the word Khudi, my modern brain, it instantly goes to, well, selfie.
Of course.
I think of ego, I think of individualism in that, me sense,
Yeah.
personal branding and all of that. But that is so clearly not what's happening here, is it?
No, not at all. And that is the most critical distinction to make right out of the gate. If we misunderstand Khudi, we misunderstand the entire message. The poem is very explicit about this in the first stanza.
It is.
It says, this self, no ego.
No ego. That's a hard stop right there. It draws a line in the sand.
Precisely. It immediately continues to describe it as a sacred living flame. So we aren't talking about vanity. We are not talking about your social status, your reputation, or, how many likes you get on a post.
It's not the external self.
It's not. It's a vibrant essence that is, and this is the absolute key, echoing God's own name.
Okay, let's unpack that. If it's not ego, it sounds more like a spiritual anchor. or maybe the core operating system of a human being.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it as the ultimate potential of the human spirit. The poem calls it a boundless inner light.
Boundless.
Yeah. The ego is usually fragile, right? It's defensive, it's easily bruised. You know that feeling when someone insults you and you feel small?
Oh, for sure.
That's the ego. But this Khudi, this self, it's described as cleaving through the sky. It's robust, it's powerful. It's the part of you that connects directly to something much bigger, the divine.
I like that distinction.
Yeah.
The ego is the shell, maybe, but Khudi is the engine inside. And the poem uses this incredible metaphor to describe that engine, the eagle.
Ah, yes.
Here it's eagle cleaving through the sky. Why an eagle? I mean, poets choose their symbols so carefully. Why not a lion? Or a wise old owl? Or even a dove, which is usually associated with the spirit or the soul.
It's a very, very deliberate choice. And if we look at the natural attributes of an eagle, we can start to see what the text is demanding of us.
Okay.
First, there's elevation. An eagle doesn't fly low, it soars. It operates at an altitude that the ground-dwelling animals and even a lot of other birds don't reach. It has a perspective that is just broad. It sees the whole landscape.
Right. It sees the big picture. It's not getting caught up in the weeds down below.
Exactly. And second, it implies a kind of solitude and independence. An eagle doesn't flock like pigeons or starlings. It has a singular purpose. It's comfortable being alone in the high air.
Okay, so vision and independence.
And third, look at the language in the text. It says, cleaving through the sky.
Even, yeah.
There is force there. It's aerodynamic. It cuts through the resistance of the air. It's not just floating. It's actively moving with power.
It's active. That's what jumped out at me. The poem says Khudi is no timid, fleeting sigh. I just love that phrase. A timid sigh is just, it's so passive. It's giving up. It's resignation. But the eagle is the absolute opposite of that. It is aggression, but maybe in a spiritual sense.
And that leads directly to the call to action in that first section, a call to rise beyond the darkest night. The text is telling you that this state of being, this Khudi, it isn't a default setting. You don't just wake up with it.
You have to earn it.
You have to forge the will.
Forge. That is such a heavy word. You forge steel.
Yeah.
You need heat. You need a hammer. You need immense pressure. You don't forge a flower.
Exactly. It implies that this strength of character, this selfhood, is manufactured through effort. It's created. It's a construction project. And what are you fighting against? What's the resistance, the poem tells us?
Bonds of doubt and fear.
Yes. Unleash the self from bonds of doubt and fear.
That is so deeply relatable. I feel like modern life is just a constant cycle of doubt and anxiety. Am I good enough? Did I make the right choice? Is this the right career? Is this the right relationship?
All those.
And this text is saying those are chains. Those are literal bonds. And Khudi is the bolt cutter.
Or rather, Khudi is the realization that you have the strength to break the chains yourself. The goal, according to the end of that stanza, is to let your inner purpose crystal clear appear.
Crystal clear. Not foggy. No confusion, just the eagle staring down its path from 10,000 feet.
That clarity is absolutely essential. But here's the problem, right? How do you get that clarity? You can't just wish for it. You can't just decide, okay, I'm an eagle now and have it be true.
Right.
So the poem has to shift gears in the second stanza to tell us how to develop and maintain this self. It moves from the eagle to the mirror.
This was a shift that really caught my attention. It was almost jarring. We go from this high-flying, aggressive, predatory eagle imagery to something very still, very fragile in a way. Polish your glass, the verses say. Reflect the brilliance of the sun's bright ray.
The metaphor of the mirror, or the heart as a mirror, is a very old, very deep philosophical concept. You see it in Sufism, in Greek philosophy, in many, many traditions. The core idea is that the human soul is capable of reflecting reality or truth or the divine. But mirrors get dirty.
Dust, fingerprints, smudges, all of it.
Exactly. In the context of the poem and the broader philosophy it represents, what is that dust? It's distraction, it's greed, it's envy. It's that petty ego we talked about at the very beginning.
So all the noise.
All the noise. If your glass is unpolished, if it's covered in the dust of the world, it can't reflect anything. It's just a dull, useless surface.
So polishing the glass is the work we do on ourselves.
Yeah.
It's the daily maintenance of the soul.
It is the internal work. Think of it this way. The eagle is the external projection of your power. It's how you move through the world. But the mirror is the internal reception of light.
That's a great distinction.
The text says, reflect the brilliance of the sun's bright ray. If we say the sun is the divine or ultimate truth or whatever you want to call it, then you are the vessel that needs to catch that light. You can't generate the light yourself. You can only reflect it. But you can only reflect it if you are clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful interplay. You need the toughness of the eagle to survive the flight, but you need the clarity of the mirror to even know where you're going.
You need both.
And then comes this line that, frankly, it blew my mind a little bit. Your essence holds the universe within.
It's a complete inversion of how we normally feel, isn't it?
Completely. I mean, usually I look up at the night sky, especially now with the images from the James Webb Telescope, and I feel like a speck of dust.
We all do.
I feel insignificant. I feel like the universe is this massive, cold, impossibly huge thing, and I'm absolutely nothing. But this is saying, no, wait, the universe isn't just out there. It's in here.
It suggests that the human potential is infinite,
Yeah.
that the macrocosm, the big universe, is somehow contained within the microcosm of the human soul.
How is that possible, though?
Well, think about your consciousness, your ability to perceive, to love, to create meanings, to tell stories, to understand mathematics. That is a vast power. The universe is just matter and energy, but inside you, it becomes experience. It becomes meaning.
So it's not that I contain all the stars physically, but that I contain the capacity to comprehend them.
And to give them meaning. And because of that, the poem says, in you, the divine's own converse can begin.
Divine converse. That sounds fancy, but does it basically mean conversation?
Conversation, connection, dialogue. It implies that you don't need to go to a mountaintop temple or a specific building to find the divine. If you polish the mirror, if you clean up that internal universe, the conversation happens inside you. It's always available.
That is incredibly empowering. It puts all the responsibility on you, but it also puts all the power in you.
Yeah.
You are walking around with the entire universe in your chest.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But here is where it gets really, really interesting for me. Because usually when people talk about polishing the soul or finding the inner universe, the next step in the logic is almost always withdrawal.
Right. Okay, bye everyone. I'm moving to a cave.
Exactly.
I'm going to the Himalayas to meditate for 30 years.
The hermit approach. And it makes a certain kind of sense, logically. If the world is full of dust that dirties my mirror, shouldn't I just leave the world? Shouldn't I go somewhere clean and quiet where there's no dust?
That seems like the logical conclusion. But this poem, it seems to get almost angry at that idea.
It absolutely rejects it. It slams the door on that idea. In the third stanza, it says, he challenged whispers of a self-denied no hermit's path, where life's rich currents hide.
No hermit's path. That is categorical. It's not saying maybe be a hermit sometimes. It says no. Full stop.
It is. The poem argues that withdrawing from the world is actually a denial of the self, not an affirmation of it. And look at what it calls the chaos of life.
Life's rich currents.
Rich.
I love that framing. Because usually the currents feel like they are drowning us. The traffic, the conflict at work, the stress of family, the constant noise of the city. We want to get out of the currents.
Yes, we do.
But the poem says no, that's where the richness is. That's the good stuff.
And it explicitly reframes the world itself. It says, the world's no prison to be cast aside.
Which is a common trope in some philosophies, right? That the body is a cage, the world is a trap, and death is the great release.
Very common. The idea that we're trapped in the material world and need to escape to the spiritual, this text completely flips that on its head. It says the world is life's grand trial.
A trial, like a test or a courtroom. What does that mean?
I think of it more like a testing ground, a forge, to go back to that earlier image, a gymnasium for the soul.
A gym for the soul. I like that.
And the poem even lists the equipment in this gym. Joy and sorrow, conflict, hope and pride.
It includes conflict and sorrow as necessary parts of the equipment, not just things to be avoided.
Yes. It says, through joy and sorrow, the self is tempered, purified inside. You cannot temper steel without fire. You cannot purify gold without intense heat. If you remove the conflict, if you just sit in the quiet, peaceful cave, you might be peaceful, but you aren't tempered.
You're not strong.
You're soft.
Untested.
So the argument is you actually need the friction of the real world, the difficult boss, the heartbreak, the struggle to pay the bills, the moral dilemmas, because that is the only way the self gets strong enough to be that eagle.
Precisely. The friction is the polish for the mirror. Without the friction of the world, the mirror stays dull. Or, to use the eagle metaphor, you can't learn to fly in a vacuum. You need the resistance of the air to generate lift. The world provides the resistance.
That is actually really comforting in a strange way. It makes the bad days feel like they have a purpose. They aren't just random annoyances. They are part of the grand trial. It gives meaning to suffering. It transforms suffering from something that is just happening to you into something that is working for you to build you. And that leads us directly to the fourth section, which is all about agency.
Agency.
If the world is a trial, how do we face it? Do we just accept whatever happens?
The it is what it is mentality. What will be, will be.
The poem warns against exactly that. The first thing it says in that stanza is, not static fate.
Not static fate, nor dogma's rigid frame.
It is attacking the idea of fatalism, the idea that your life is pre-written and you are just a passenger on a train. It contrasts static fate with force empowered to create and claim.
Create and claim. That is such active language again.
It is. It suggests that Khudi is a creative force. You are not just discovering your life, you are actively creating it. You are claiming your destiny, not waiting for it to be delivered by FedEx.
You're the author, not just the reader of your own story.
Exactly. And then it goes after dogma. Break free from chains of unexamined lore.
What does it mean by lore here? Like myths and legends?
It can be, but I think it's broader. It refers to any traditions, beliefs, or stories we accept just because our parents accepted them, or because society tells us they're true, without ever questioning them ourselves.
So it's the we've always done it this way trap.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Or the don't ask questions, just believe mentality that you sometimes see.
Exactly. The poem commands the listener, unlock the texts and seek truth at the core.
Seek truth at the core. Don't just read the summary on the back of the book. Don't just listen to what other people say the text says. Go to the source. Dig.
It is a demand for intellectual and spiritual independence, for critical thinking. A person with a developed Khudi does not blindly follow. They examine, they question, they unlock. If you are just following the herd, you aren't an eagle.
You're a sheep.
And this text has absolutely no interest in sheep.
And yet it's not just about being a skeptical intellectual sitting in an ivory tower, right?
Yeah.
Because the very next lines are surprisingly earthy. Embrace the bounties of this earthly span.
Yes. This brings us full circle, back to the anti-hermit argument. It is okay to enjoy the world. It is okay to succeed. It's okay to have a good meal.
So the bounties of this earthly span, good food, family, success, beauty, art, nature, they're there for a reason.
They're part of the experience. They're not a distraction from the spiritual path. They're part of it.
So you can have the nice house or the good career or the success. You don't have to wear a hair shirt and eat dry bread to be a spiritual person.
As long as, and this is the vital condition, you live life's purpose as a guided man.
So you can have the bounty as long as the bounty doesn't have you.
That's it.
As long as you are still guided by that inner compass, that Khudi.
Correct. The material success becomes a tool, not the master. If you are the eagle, you can land on the earth, you can hunt, you can enjoy the bounty, but you never ever forget that you belong to the sky.
That is a beautiful way to put it. You belong to the sky.
Hey.
And speaking of the sky, the final stanza takes us all the way up. We've gone through the struggle, we've polished the mirror, we've broken the chains, and now.
Now we're at the summit.
So stand atop the mountain, conscience high.
We have reached the peak of the poem's entire journey. We started in the shadows, remember? In ancient shadows. Now we are at the very peak.
Where earth embraces, boundless open sky.
Yeah.
It's that meeting point, the point of integration.
It's the synthesis. The material, which is the earth, and the spiritual, the sky, are meeting in the human being. And from this vantage point, you finally have perspective. Conscience high, your moral compass is elevated, you can see the bigger picture. You aren't driven by petty needs and fears anymore.
And then we get this line. I think that this might be the most complex, maybe the most important line in the entire poem, and I really want to take a moment to understand it. The cosmos mirrors in the seeds you sow.
It is profound. The cosmos mirrors in the seeds you sow. It's suggesting a mechanism of reality that is almost like a feedback loop.
A feedback loop, like audio feedback, that high-pitched squeal.
In a way, think about it. We usually think the cosmos is this giant external thing that happens to us. We think, oh, I had bad luck today, or the universe is punishing me, or why me? But this line says the cosmos is simply mirroring you. Specifically, it is mirroring the seeds you sow.
So if I plant seeds of kindness or seeds of courage, my actions, my thoughts,
the cosmos reflects that back to you. The reality you experience is a reflection of the internal seeds you have planted. If you plant seeds of doubt or fear or resentment or selfishness,
the universe mirrors that back too.
Exactly. Your internal state determines your external reality.
It connects back to that idea that your essence holds the universe within. If you change the seeds inside of you, you change the mirror outside of you.
Precisely. It empowers the individual completely. You are not a victim of the cosmos. You are a co-creator of it through your actions, your words, your thoughts, your seeds. It forces you to take total responsibility for your life. If you don't like the harvest, you have to look at what you planted.
That's terrifying, but it's also incredibly liberating.
It is the ultimate liberation. It means you are never helpless. You always have the power of the seed.
And the poem ends on such a hopeful, upward-looking note. His legacy, a beacon strong and bright, to guide our quest towards the ever-rising light.
Ever-rising light. Notice it doesn't say the arrived light or the final light.
Right, it's not a destination.
It's ever-rising. It's a process.
It never stops.
It suggests that the journey of Khudi, the journey of the self, is infinite. You never just make it and then retire. You are always rising, always polishing the glass, always soaring higher.
It's a pursuit, not a prize to be won.
It is a perpetual ascent, and that is what keeps the sacred flame burning. If you stop rising, the flame would flicker out.
So let's try to synthesize this whole thing, because we've covered a lot of ground, or air, I guess, if we're eagles. This is a dense framework.
It really is.
We started with a definition. Khudi is not ego. It's a sacred, powerful, creative self. It's the engine, not the paint job on the car.
Correct. It is the I that exists before social conditioning, before all the labels get stuck on you.
Then we looked at the tools for developing it. The eagle for power and vision and, cleaving through resistance. And the mirror for reflection and connection to the divine.
And the absolute necessity of keeping that mirror clean, that is the daily practice, the work.
Then we look at the arena. The world isn't a trap. It's a gym for the soul. We need the conflict and the struggle to temper ourselves. We shouldn't run away to a cave. We should dive into the rich currents.
And we learned we must reject passivity. We don't accept static fate. We create our own path, and we have to question unexamined lore. We have to be thinkers, not just followers.
Finally, we stand on that mountain, realizing that the universe is just reflecting back the seeds we plant. The feedback loop.
That's the arc. It is a complete blueprint for how to be a human being in the fullest sense. It takes you from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active creator of your own destiny.
It really strikes me how relevant this all is. I mean, the poem talks about ancient shadows, but this feels like it was written for the 21st century.
I think so too.
We are so obsessed with identity today, but usually in a very superficial way. We obsess over labels, over our online profiles. This is asking for a deep identity, an internal one.
It's an answer to the crisis of meaning. I think a lot of people today feel lost or small or completely overwhelmed by the currents of modern life. We feel like cogs in a machine.
For sure.
And this poem says, you are not a cog. You are not small. You are huge. You contain the universe. And the currents aren't there to drown you. They are there to teach you how to swim.
I think what I'm taking away most is the balance. It balances ambition with humility. That's the tricky part, right?
It's the hardest part.
You have to be the eagle ambitious, soaring, fearless. But you also have to be the mirror humble enough to reflect the light that isn't your own.
That is the delicate, beautiful balance. If you are only the eagle, you might become a tyrant, a narcissist. You might crush others.
Right.
If you are only the mirror, you might become passive, a doormat. You might just sit there reflecting and never actually act in the world. You must be both.
The eagle and the mirror. That's the secret sauce.
And the result of that combination is resilience. A person who lives by this code, this Khudi, is unbreakable. Bonds of doubt and fear cannot hold them.
They break the chains.
They break the chains. And they're guided, a guided man. Not wandering lost, but moving with a clear and powerful purpose.
Well, this has been quite a journey. From the shadows all the way up to the mountaintop. I feel like I need to sit with this for a while, maybe do some polishing of my own glass. I think I've got more than a few smudges on there.
We all do. It's a daily practice. The dust of the world never stops falling, so the polishing never stops.
Before we wrap up, though, I want to leave our listener with something to chew on. A final thought. We talked a lot about that one line. The cosmos mirrors in the seeds you sow.
A crucial line, probably the one that sticks with you the most after you hear it.
I think so. So here is the thought for today for you listening. If the cosmos is just a mirror of the seeds you are sowing right now, take a second and look around at your life today. Look at your relationships, your work, your level of peace of mind. Look at the text messages you sent today. Look at how you reacted to traffic this morning. What does the scenery tell you about the seeds you've been planting? And if you don't like the view, is it time to change the seed?
powerful question to end on.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. It's always a pleasure to unpack these kinds of things with you.
The pleasure was all mine. This was fantastic.
And to you, listening, keep soaring. Catch you in the next deep dive.